Are we stuck in our KPIs in the new era of AI? Wil Reynolds is here to set the record straight. We're not here to report page one rankings and links built for SEO. Learn the new key performance indicators for digital marketing today on The Edge.
Your weekly digital marketing trends with industry trend-setting guests. Powered by your digital marketing pioneers, Site Strategics.
This week's featured guest is Wil Reynolds, founder and CEO of Seer Interactive.
Now, here's your host, Erin Sparks.
This is Edge of the Web Radio, episode 775. I'm your host, Erin Sparks. Thanks for landing on The Edge. We talk to industry leaders from around the world to give you top-level knowledge on digital marketing tactics and the philosophies behind them every week. We do this for you, the digital marketing pro. Check out edgeofthewebradio.com, edgeofthewebradio.com. We have each show we do over there with all the key links that we talk about in the show and more. We're going to jump right into our interview with Wil Reynolds, but make sure that you follow our guests that come on the show. Ask them questions after the episode and give them some comments on what you heard. That's the best way to give feedback to them. Also, we'd love some feedback as well. Please rate this show, if you would, at ratethispodcast.com/edge. It helps us grow the show and get in front of new digital marketers, and you used to be one once. This episode is brought to you by our title sponsor, Bruce Clay, and his new app, PreWriter.AI, the next level AI-driven content research and briefing tool. Create ultra-relevant, humanized, SEO-ready drafts customized for your audience's pain points and built for Google's latest standards. So visit edgeofthewebradio.com/prewriter today. Now, let's meet this week's expert guest. All right, I want to introduce you to Wil Reynolds. If you've not come across him before, my gosh, what a bright light in the SEO industry. He's the founder and CEO of Seer Interactive, a leading digital marketing agency known for its commitment to data-driven results and making a positive impact into the community. Wil began his career in digital marketing back in 1999. Since then, he's become a respected authority in SEO, paid media, analytics, and the like, guiding companies ranging from ambitious startups to global Fortune 500 brands. He brings a lot of leadership to Seer Interactive, and he actually started from one-person startup to an award-winning team with over 200 professionals. They're serving clients across tech, healthcare, education, finance, and more. As a certified B Corp, we got to go into that here soon. Seer Interactive stands out for integrating philanthropy and purpose into everyday business, driven by Wil's vision of using business for a force of good. Wil, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Dude, thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. Hey, it was great to be able to record you up at SEO Week up in New York in April, and you blew my mind. Really, you did. Out of 40 top-level presenters at SEO Week, and honestly, everybody needs to join that next year. You were a disruptor at that moment, and I really did want to get you back on board and talk about what you see in this digital marketing and SEO world. I got to say to the audience is that Wil came on and he really just put it to the audience that are SEOs in that audience and literally kind of broke through the fourth wall almost. He was talking about just shattering this repetitive environment of SEO optimization in the light of AI and all of the new environments, the platforms that we're actually interacting with. He brought us to a moment of just clarity of how we should be communicating on behalf of our clients as well as our own companies. So it's a pleasure to have you on here. I know I've got a small amount of time here. Your presentation actually killed it, and I wanted to get you on board. Winning with search, but losing with humans. You emphasize not only that not all traffic is created equal, how should SEOs update their mental models to focus less on volume and more on value or the origin of the traffic itself? This was the first watershed moment that I experienced. It's not about traffic, it's about what traffic's actually coming in. Help me out here.
For me, it's a pretty basic thing, right? So I think the first thing you've got to do is you've got to start to sound the alarm for your executives on the KPIs that we've trained them to judge us on, and the KPIs we're probably judged on today, if we hit those goals, will probably not be a good thing for the business in 2 years. Okay. If your goals are, I got to hit these certain numbers of traffic or rankings or whatever, what you're going to find is that those rankings don't get the same throughput that they used to.
Right.
So you're hitting the one KPI, but not the other. And my belief system is that people don't have fewer questions just because AI showed up, just because social showed up. They usually have more questions. They're in more places than ever trying to get those answers. And if you almost have to look at it like a stock portfolio. People rebalance portfolios all the time.
Yeah.
Why do they do it? Because there's different things happening in the environment where maybe Europe is better to invest in right now than the United States because of the current environment. So in the current environment, AI seems to be a lot better place to get answers from, a lot less clutter for a whole set of queries. So we should rebalance that portfolio. Social is a place where people are getting a lot more answers from. And just look at the traffic for LinkedIn, Reddit, etc. All that's growing at a clip much faster than Google is.
Absolutely. And the topography of search is obviously changing. We've got this AIO module that got rolled out collectively in April. We've been watching it for a while. The users getting trained in a whole different experience of how to interact and actually how to further their inquiry, right? So where we've been growing digital savvy natives in the search space, now we're in a space where there's a lot more interactivity at the Google real estate than anything before. And we're all just screaming about the drop of organic traffic of 25 to 45%. As marketers and marketing agencies, we have to be able to counsel our clients on what they're going to be expecting, but they have to have a strategy to be able to get into those interactive elements, even though that's not going to be traffic coming from that. So how do we talk to our clients in a way that actually justifies the investment? I'm going to talk about the strategy of content here in a second, but the fact of the matter is that the bottoms supposedly dropping out of search, you actually had a really good point in your SEO week presentation. Was that amount of traffic that we were getting really even valuable?
Yeah, so this is one of those things where, gosh, as SEOs, we typically work with the same toolbox. And I've always tried to find other toolboxes to add to my SEO, other tools to add to my SEO toolbox that most people don't use. So the thing that we talked about was, hey, if you actually take your paid search queries, I say the average SEO spends way too much time in Google Search Console and way too little time in Google Ads.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Google Ads shows you all kinds of stuff that all kinds of things you got impressions on. And it's a much broader data set, in my opinion, of what your customers are asking. So once you have that data set, you go, wait a second, I can look at all the search terms that I have and see which ones are actually I'm bidding on. Once you see the ones you're bidding on, you can see whether or not those words convert or not. What you will find, at least what one of our case studies found, was that when you join those two data sets, it looks like your traffic is way down. But actually, if you look at your converting keywords, that traffic oftentimes is slightly up, even significantly up. So what that means is exactly what I've always been saying, which is people might do fewer queries on the front end because on Google, because you're sitting on your LLM or you're doing whatever, you're asking it a bunch of questions. But at some point, you may end up going over to Google, searching for the brand or something like that, and going through and converting. So to me, it's like if my converting queries are holding tight in terms of their ability to still get me traffic and conversions, great. I'm okay losing some of that top of funnel. Now, a holistic marketer would be saying, all right, but that top of funnel allowed me to do retargeting and whatnot. So I would be looking at, if I'm losing a ton of top of funnel traffic, am I also getting less throughput on my retargeting? Or is Google using AI and whatnot to better understand what that person's looking for? And I don't need to rely as much on them hitting my pages in the top of the funnel. I don't know.
Kind of surfing the wave of how Google's actually reading the audience and positioning available ads at that point in time and be able to surf that particular wave. and also remarket to that wave. So we understand the funnel, but we also understand that Google, with its AI environment, is now kind of pulling off the top level of general interest and keeping it inside of the Google space, the Google interactive space. And we have a lot better opportunity to be able to convert higher at a lesser amount of traffic coming into our website. What's wrong with that? People are screaming about loss of traffic. How do we communicate to our clients that it's not about loss of traffic, it's about the right traffic at the right time?
You tell them what you just said. I think the hard part is that what you've got to do is you've got to look at your client in the eye and say, these KPIs are no longer the right ones. And let me try to explain to you why. And you've got to work on that explanation so that the client understands, oh, I get why if you kept on the old KPI, that it may not necessarily result in what I hoped when we first established those KPIs. And because if you can't convince your client of that, then you're still going to be stuck reporting on number of links built and number of page one rankings. And they're going to go, great, I got all these rankings. And then someday they're going to go, but am I converting? Am I not getting traffic from them, et cetera? So to me, step one is talking to your freaking client and having a case for why you could still do your job well in terms of writing the content, getting it ranked, getting it positioned. But there's enough studies out there now that show this is way bigger than what your SEO has done. It is an industry-wide thing that is affecting everybody. And you have to remind your client, you can't buy a car or on ChatGPT. You can't, sign up. You can't fill out a lead form on ChatGPT. So at some point, these people are going to come over to your website. It's just that you don't have all those upwind clues that you used to have before.
Glad to have a new title sponsor for Edge of the Web. Hey, if you want your content to truly stand out, it's time to try PreWriter.AI from Bruce Clay. Bruce is a world-renowned SEO expert who's been serving clients for over 30 years, and he's been a guest on this show several times. His latest innovation, PreWriter, isn't just another AI tool, it's a complete content creation platform that turns your research into smart, persona-driven strategies. Imagine creating briefs that clearly map out your audience's needs and then turning those briefs into clusters of connected pages. You can provide each page with natural call to actions that solve real problems. PreWriter even localizes and humanizes your writing, helping you stay ahead of search engines and your competition. Ready for a smarter, more profitable way to build authority and drive results? Visit edgeofthewebradio.com/PreWriter. Learn about the free trial that they've got there. See for yourself how much faster and better you can write your content. Go over to edgeofthewebradio.com/PreWriter. Absolutely. All right. So KPIs have to be reoriented, but I'm going to break through this particular discussion because the linear process I'm looking at right now of how do we do this particular thing or what have you. But I want to actually get to the point of the matter of your presentation, faking the funk, because what you laid out at SEO Week was something that really was a clarion call to SEOs, is that outside of conversion tracking, outside of position tracking in SEO, we're still missing the point of what LLMs are starting to actually pay attention to, right? So the authenticity of content needs to be discussed right here. And as little time as I have with you, let's talk about being authentic and taking the stairs. What's your concept on that? Why do we need to take the stairs and slow down our roll when it comes down to content marketing?
Here's what I believe.
Yep.
The encyclopedia was decent until Encarta. And then Encarta was decent until the internet came.
Mm-hmm.
The internet was fine, and then Google came. And now we're in this LLM phase, and people are like, oh my God, LLMs. And you're like, wait, slow down. I don't believe that LLMs are that much better than search engines for getting answers.
Right.
I think they're somewhat better, but I don't think they're the best. When I think of authenticity, the final place that I land is, think about this, because that's a provocative statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
The person who types an SEO agency on Google is me. I'm not saying they don't have a network, but the odds are if you have a network, you don't need to type in SEO agency. You would talk to your friends who have worked and hired agencies to be like, who do you recommend and why? Right. So you have to think the same person who goes to an LLM and is like, recommend me an SEO agency also doesn't have much of a network. So now you're one of 1,000 people they've clicked on or whatever. They're going to narrow it down to 4 or 5. Not a problem. Fine.
Right. Right.
What you really want is to have done so well by your clients that when people are looking for answers to that question, that they go into their network and you go, well, where does that happen? That happens on LinkedIn. It
Mm-hmm.
happens in WhatsApp. It happens in email. It happens in places like that, right?
Right.
So now you got to think, okay, the best leads are probably going to come from from people who have asked other people. And you can't get away with just dropping content at the bottom of your freaking page that says SEO agency in blah, blah, blah city.
Right. 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 Yeah.
Like that works, right? I mean, look at how many people literally have page after page after page of just city after city after city. It's like, yo, dog, SEO doesn't change by city,
No, it's terrible. Right. Exactly.
right? So people flood that and it works, right? And it works in SEO and it works in LLMs today. You know what the ideal state is for somebody to recommend you. And I think that that's the harder thing to win on. But from what I've seen with my data, I checked it the other day, we get about a 13x conversion rate from organic social, people recommending us,
Yep.
people reading what we have to say and being like, I like those guys over organic search. So I can get so much less traffic from organic search and still entirely grow the business because we are somehow a trusted brand where people are recommending us or talking about us or liking our stuff on social media enough to sign up for my newsletter at a 13x clip than if they came in from search. So that's like part of my like, hey guys, like you can keep putting up inauthentic crap all up on your website, right? You can keep building listicles that list out 10 agencies and list yourself as number one. And then you can kind of try to tidy up the other 9. Now tell me a freaking brand that does that. That's a major brand. So now what you've done is you've built a search strategy that no client worth a damn is actually going to do. You know, if my client is Yeti mics or whatever, I'm going to be like, hey, so can you create a listicle of your microphones versus all these other brands? They're going to be like, God, you SEO people come with such low strategy. Then they're going to do the work we ask them to do because they want to get the result, but they never see us as a strategic partner because we're doing shit that they're like, none of my other partners tell me to do stuff like this, you know?
Hey, Edge listeners, here's a quick housekeeping break. Just want to let you know who's going to be coming up on the show over the next few episodes. We're talking to Dana DiTomaso, Ross Simmons, and Chris Long. Also, check out our recent interview episodes with Carolyn Shelby of Yoast as we unpack the LLMS.txt file. We're always on the hunt for the next guest on the Edge. If you're interested in being part of the show, drop us a line over at info@edgeofthewebradio.com. Make sure that you also check out the Alternate Weekly News podcast, covering the most recent digital marketing news and Google updates. We always cover some trending news, but a deep dive into SEO, local, paid, social, AI, and more. We're dropping it in the middle of the week, so catch your favorite subject, and we unpack it with top specialists helping us cover it as well. Last week we covered paid news with Greg Finn. Here's what we covered. OpenAI introduces ChatGPT Atlas, a built-in web browser. Meta rolls out new scam alerts to safeguard older users. Google Ads text guidelines were now rolling out. Google Ads also quietly tested auto-setting the new customer value. Google Ads also are permanently deleting canceled accounts after 6 months. We also covered shopping ads to physical good subscriptions on Google. And lastly, Google Ads Missed Growth Opportunities tab is now available. So check out episode 774 to catch up on all the paid news from the Edge. Make sure that you check out our sponsors of this episode, PreWriter.AI, as well as WAIKAY. They are here to make your digital marketing work week better. Make sure that you check them out over the show links. That's how they know that you found them on the Edge. Now, let's get back to the show. All right. So
Real marketing, man.
real marketing, and this is what I'm talking. This is where I really want to break through here. It's not. We can't do what we've been doing before, especially with local. I mean, that strategy is scrapped for a long period of time. But we're actually having to understand the new relationship that consumers have with these new agents, right? So you had arguably an agent in Google search. That's the train interaction of that consumer, how they search, and then on top of that surfaces PAAs and the different elements that Google has been enticing the user to be able to play around with. But they also now have the LLMs that are getting closer and closer to a personal concierge, how you actually want to interact with information. And it's learning from you personally. And to your point, how best do I actually look at a source that I'm going to pay money for to actually help me? I want somebody who's referring and actually has some very good, valuable information about that. If the LLMs are in a place where they can start providing that level of authentic recommendation, as opposed to the listicles that we've been seeing in main channels of search, we're really needing to change our entire way of communicating content and value to the consumer, and the platform is the LLMs, right?
Yeah, like so I think what you're talking about especially is like this concept around so where the LLMs do crush is on personalization, right? Like if they get
Right.
to know you over time, they get to add stuff to memory, they get to understand what a good answer is for you.
Right.
So their predictions on what a good answer is are better, right? Um, and my thoughts about that and what makes our job tough, which makes this time very fun, is you're pretty much going into a world where you're going to see a monthly search volume of one for everything, right? Because
Hmm.
different people's instructions and past history might give them different answers. And I think the other thing is for the first time, we're optimizing for something that has reasoning and understanding.
Yep.
So what I mean by that, and the example I'm going to use until the day I die is this like nudie jeans example that I showed in the presentation.
Yes.
And nudie jeans did not rank for the word ethical jeans in the top 50 because they wouldn't play the SEO game. They wouldn't put the words in places just to rank for it, even though that's what they're all about. But what they did do is on every pair of jeans, they would give you every company that supplied every part of those jeans. They would tell you where in the world they were. They would tell you whether or not they got on a plane and went and visited them to make sure they practiced ethical standards. They would tell you how much that producing one of those pair of jeans negatively impacts the environment. How much water did we use? What's the impact of the dyes? What's the cotton that we got, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right?
Right. Right.
All of those things are about environmental friendliness. They're all about ethics. How do these people pay their workers? Are they part of certain things like a B corporation? We are. So the LLMs know that all those things in totality also mean ethical. Pretty much for the most part was like, if you don't say the word ethical over on your page at least 4 times, we're not going to show you for that. So now in this new world, I feel like companies that kept it super real and were like, we are who we are going to have an opportunity to show up for queries without optimization because it's what they've been about the entire time. So then the role of an optimizer, then somebody that's in this world is, can I help you to show up for more stuff that's authentic to your brand?
Right.
The problem is most people that do our jobs have spent 0 hours studying brands. 0,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
If you
absolutely.
think about it, like how many hours have you spent watching commercials from like the 60s, print ads, where people had to really think about the customer and understand the customer? How many books have you read around why people buy? How many books have you read around psychology? How often are you looking at psychological experiments to understand how humans make decisions? It's like, I didn't do none of that. I read this case study on Hrefs. Well, now that you've got to actually use your brain for something and figure out how to connect with a human, you have not stretched that muscle yet. So how are you actually going to help your client further? You're going to come to them with dumb shit like listicles. And then you're screwed because now they're not looking at you as a strategic advisor or a strategic consultant, just a patchwork to put in for now until these LLMs get better and not allowing listicles. And then what's going to be left? The authenticity to your freaking brand and what you believe and making sure that that consistently comes out everywhere.
Our friends at Inlinks have made a really cool tool, WAIKAY, WAIKAY. what AI knows about you. Are you aware of how AI is shaping your brand's online presence? With WAIKAY, you can stay informed about what AI is saying about your brand. This powerful tool gives you insights into how your brand is perceived by key audiences and provides actionable ways to improve it. WAIKAY helps you compare your AI presence to competitors, uncovering valuable content opportunities and identifying harmful link hallucinations all in one simple report. Plus, there's a brand new SEO report that will help you fine-tune your website's search engine performance. It's the easiest way to monitor and optimize your brand's digital narrative in AI. Best of all, WAIKAY provides concrete recommendations to enhance your AI visibility. If you're looking to stay ahead of the curve in AI and manage your brand's digital image, go over to edgeofthewebRadio.com/WAIKAY. That's WAIKAY. That's your go-to solution. And the best part, it's free. Go check this out. Fantastic. We're talking about thematic optimization at this point in time, and you were actually giving that in your presentation. Words grew into phrases, grew into semantic relevancy, but we're really talking about thematic positioning of our clients, of our own agency as well, right? And you've got to know these factors before you can even march forward and be able to position our clients. So we've got to know the mission, the value statements, and the causes that our clients actually have, because that's, if it's not being broadcast, if it's not being funneled into information that actually permeates all of the content of a website, the reasoning modules of these LLMs aren't going to pick that up. And that's what really is happening here. We're starting to see the reasoning process happening, and tie that into the personalization of LLMs. Now you've got a brand alignment to a consumer that we've never had before, right?
Yep. But keep in mind, remember this, it's still a proxy for getting a recommendation from your friend.
Roger that. Yeah, well, and you actually shared with us in that presentation the actual heart that you were showing on behalf of Seer Interactive. And I want to finish this off because I know we got time.
All right.
But when it comes down to the Class B orientation that you've got for your organization, there's a heart of your organization that is giving back socially into your communities, and you are not utilizing it as a pennant or a flag. You believe entirely inside of your organization. You've got causal factors, and people are aligned inside your organization to help your mission. And that is a huge lesson for all clients that we have, as well as all agencies. Give me a bit of a lowdown on how you've been able to manifest that inside of your company.
Sure. So when I started the business, a large catalyst for me was I was volunteering at a children's hospital, just playing with sick kids on Wednesdays from 6 to 9. And it was very fulfilling and very rewarding. And I went to my boss at the time, Susan, and I said, hey, can I work through my lunch so that I can leave on Wednesdays an hour early? And she was like, I don't think we can do it this quarter. We got this project or whatever. And I was like, fuck that. So I called my mom that day from the parking lot. And I think I want to start something myself because I want to have the ability. Like I'm a hardcore mofo. Like I'm going to work all kinds of hours to get things done. So I'm not going to oh, can I go out and volunteer and then leave you hanging on the other side? Like I'm not going to do that. But because I couldn't do it, I said, let me just build a company that enables me to have the impact on the community that I want. And then it's in the roots. It's like the catalyst for why this thing exists. So it was easy for me as we grew just to kind of continue to look for people that thought that was a good kind of thing for a company to be about. And even as of this week, we had a webinar. We invited someone in to help us to learn a lot more about what's going on at the border, what's going on with immigration. Mm-hmm. And I just personally don't like the way that I'm seeing people getting treated. And I don't care if you're here illegally or not. Like, I don't like seeing humans being treated that way, right? To me, it's heartbreaking to watch a child watch their parent being taken away that's been here for 10 years selling tamales and ain't hurting nobody, right?
Right.
So
right.
Because that's heartbreaking, I'm glad that I have built a company where we can instantly turn that around into action for me and my team, both with our dollars as well as our time. And a lot of people will say, well, touching those topics, could be a little bit hairy when it comes to business. And I'm like, I'm a person before I'm a business. And I'm going to stand up for people. And I don't care if you were any kind of a voter, disagrees with what I disagree with or not. I would fight for your rights to not have your children watch you be ripped away from them if you haven't done anything so bad that that is the way that you should be separated from your family. I get it. Like, you break the law, man. There's laws here. I get that. I'm not saying you shouldn't have laws. What I'm saying is we got to show dignity and be like, you broke the law. Good. All right. Now, how can we try to do something to make sure that we're not ripping you from a tree in front of your child, or having your son stand in front of you saying, you're going to have to shoot me to take my mom away, who's 55 years old and has been just selling tamales at the Home Depot for the last freaking 15 years. I just can't.
That's traumatic. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's traumatic. And if my company has a chance to do something about it or speak up, we're going to do it, because we're about our coworkers, our clients, and our community. And that's what we wake up for to do every day.
And when did Seer Interactive actually start?
August 2002.
That's awesome. And you've been doing this for a long time, 2+ decades.
Hey, bro.
I know it. I know it. We started in 2004. I know the path, but one of the most important things that you represent is that cultural investment, to be able to give a safe place for your marketing professionals to be able to give back to the community. That's something that should be core for all organizations. And from a marketing standpoint, you got to practice what you preach whenever you're actually trying to lead a client to get invested and show their morals, their ethics, their values. If the agency's not doing it, how in the world can you actually persuade the client to do just that, right?
Yeah, and I would say, we even do volunteer events with our clients. Like, there are times where we like collaborate together to do good.
That's awesome,
right? Because it is bigger than us. We want to kind of show them, like, there's a way to do business like this. And the last thing I'll leave you with on this is, a sad thing is, at some point we kind of lost our way on that. And not because I did, it was because the smaller you are, the easier it is as a CEO to be like, we're going to go volunteer at this thing, and everybody just goes.
Right.
And as you get bigger and bigger, it becomes harder to just lead purely by sheer will of, let's go do. So one of the lessons I learned in this process was, once you get to a certain size, it has to actually have a person that owns making sure you hit those KPIs too, to bring it full circle to where we started. So, we make the decision to hire somebody full time who makes it as easy as possible for our company and our people to do great work in their cities and neighborhoods. And then they have a set of KPIs around, like, what percentage of the team is volunteered more than 16 hours a year?
Right.
How many hours have we done? Like, who's going to help us get B Corp certified? So I think if you hear this, we open source almost everything we do on that side to help other companies kind of ride our, kind of draft off of us. But then also, I think for any companies that are a little bit bigger, if you don't put a person on this, you are going to watch yourself lose your way on anything in the business. It could be finances, it could be customer service, but also if it's community impact, at some point you can't just get there through sheer will. You're going to actually have to hire somebody to kind of make sure that that thing and do it well.
Understood. And it's not a quota to actually fill in. It's got to be heartfelt. It's not just filling and checking the boxes. You've got to have that culture that wants to actually drive. So you've got that person in charge, or that group in charge, to be able to create that initiative, but you've got to cultivate that internal burn to be able to want to actually contribute. You're leading by example, Wil. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate everything that you're doing in the community. We're going to be seeing you on SEO Week next year, but always pay attention, listeners, to what Wil's sharing, because he may actually bring out some content that is half-cooked, because he wants the community to be able to participate. Not half-cooked, sorry. It's raw emotion, raw communication. So track him down on Twitter or X at Wil Reynolds. That's with one L. On LinkedIn, Wil Reynolds, as well as Medium. He's got wilreynolds.medium.com. And on top of that, YouTube. You're pushing out a lot of content on YouTube as well. So
you have all about YouTube.
Yeah, it's there. And that's also a great personal connection to brand. And that's where, we got to be able to train our clients to be able to start communicating. It doesn't have to be polished, just share, right?
Be authentic.
Absolutely. Hey, man, I'd love to be able to swing back around to you in another time, but thanks so much for your time today. All right, just wrapping up. That was fantastic conversation from Wil. He's short on time, but you really want to make sure that you track him down on his Sightseer Interactive, as well as on his own socials, Wil Reynolds on X. And you can also follow us on X at Edge Web Radio. Thank you to our sponsors. They want to make sure that your digital marketing work week is easier. Make sure that you reach out to them from the show notes of the episode. That's how they know that you found them on the Edge. From all of us over at Edge, stay safe, stay well, and do not be a piece of cyber drift. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.